Hey everyone, I'm Carly. My pronouns are they, them. I am a cross stitcher, a knitter, mostly these days. And this is my FlossTube. Welcome. It's just me today. Sorry. Shelby is at a friend's birthday party and also may not be joining for future FlossTubes. Nothing bad. She just would prefer to spend the free time that she does have to actually do the craft rather than talk about it. So a good reason, in my opinion. We are still like spending a lot of time together watching FlossTube while stitching, and that's more than I could ask for in a partner. So if I can get her permission to show some of the stuff she's been working on, I will. I am going to be attempting to do both a finish and a WIP parade in the same video today. There's a lot of things that I don't have because I have made a lot of gifts this year, but I am feeling pretty good about what I've been working on, and I'm excited to show you what I've got. So enjoy. I'm going to start with my finishes. The first thing I have is this from March. It's called Anna's Easter Egg. It's by Abby Topknot. And it was in a spring edition of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. I don't remember which one. I used kind of whatever DMCs I had on hand, and then put a little chenille trim around the edge. I backed it with a linen napkin that I had and did not make it pretty because it's gonna be up like that, so who cares. This is a 30 count linen, if I recall correctly, and I stuffed it with fabric scraps. So I've been kind of attempting to be a quilter for the past few years, so I have quite a lot of scraps from my attempts, and I've been using them to stuff pillows. So that's that one. My next finish was a Mill Hill. It's called Elsie. And this thing is entirely beaded. I didn't realize that when I got it, but it was so fun. I'm going to turn this into an ornament for Shelby's mom. This is her. So cool. These blue chunks, it's kind of hard to see. It's 5 beads and they're like laid on top of each other. So it was fun to try some new techniques. It's like really heavy for a Mill Hill, but she's so beautiful. I'm really pleased with how she turned out. These pink beads, they're like matte. They're really nice. The next one I have is also Mill Hill, and I don't have it with me because I gave it as a gift. It's called Guiding Light. And you can see there's this like treasure on the front, and if you like tilted the piece, it caught the light and shone, and it was like really cool. It was kind of like a real life lighthouse. I gave that to a colleague who retired, and her cubicle was like decked out in lighthouses, so felt appropriate. My next finish is a fully finished. This is actually a piece I finished in 23, and I fully finished it. I was really loving that chenille trim that I used for the Easter egg, so I made this piece, House of Love by Nikki's Creations, into a pillow. Finished it the same way as the other one. It's backed with a linen napkin, sewed up, ugly. But I think that fits because these guys kind of look dead. So yeah, I'm not super pleased with how the stuffing is laying. It is also fabric scraps. But I put it away and brought it out later, and I was like, okay, it's actually fine. Yeah, it feels good to have like a finish from so long ago fully finished. I had plans to maybe do that more this year, but I'm also moving in like a month, so I didn't want to have like a bunch of like frames and pillows like to have to pack, because this won't be the last time I move. So everything is just on a big project roll right now, and that's where it will stay. My next one, we're moving into April. This is called Fade Into You. It's by Cam the Stitcher, and she has recently started designing, and this was the first piece I think that she released. It's on a 36 count linen, and it was so quick and so cute. She has a primitive version and like a not primitive version, and they're both really good. It was hard to choose, but these were the flosses I had handy, so that's what I went with. I did use a fancy floss for the dress, but I really like how it turned out. Okay, the next two I don't have because they were gifts, and they were both from Arcadia of Sorrows on Etsy. The first one is called Swamp Slut, and it's a Shrek homage. The minute I saw this pattern, I was like, oh my god, I need to find somebody that I can make this for. My friend Josh's birthday was coming up, and I was like, oh man, what do I get Josh? And then I was like, duh, this is perfect. I stitched this on, I believe, an 11 count Aida. I counted the holes wrong, so it didn't fit in the hoop that I wanted it to, so I had to cut off some of the motifs. But I do love how big it is, and Josh has it hanging up on his office wall. So I know that was the correct decision. Then I was just so tickled by this designer. I got another pattern of hers called Clown License and made it for a friend who does do improv and clowning. This one was fun because you could customize little aspects of it, like which clown you used, what their special skill is, a couple other things. And this one I think I did on an 18 count Aida with the call for DMC. One of my goals for this year is that I want to go through my electronic patterns. I am really trying not to purchase those unless I'm like planning to start them right away. I don't see them because they're just in a folder. And sometimes I'll go through, like I have a box for my cross stitch, so sometimes I'll go through that and like look at my physical patterns and get a refresher and see what's in there, get some ideas. But with my electronic patterns, there's no, unless I'm like go to cross stitch folder, it doesn't happen. So I wanted to kind of work through what I have in there, and I finished one of my oldest patterns that I got this in, I think, 2021, and it is Night Alphabet by Stitchy Princess. It's on an 18 count black Aida, and I did another pattern of hers that I bought around the same time on the other half of this, so it was fun to like finish up this fabric and kind of apply what I've learned since I stitched that first piece on black Aida so long ago. But yeah, I used a mix of fancy floss and DMC and really had fun with it. I did omit the border. There's like kind of a zigzag border, but it wasn't going to fit. And I don't have plans for this. I think it would be cute framed in a baby's room. A lot of people in my life having babies right now. So that's sort of an idea I have for it, maybe in the future. But yeah, I'm really pleased that I finished it, and that I am working through my electronic patterns. The next two I don't have with me. They were gifts, but the first one is Medieval Snail Cat, and the designer is Meow Kapow Designs. I think Meow Kapow Patterns on Etsy. So this is based on some artwork from back in the day, medieval times. And I have an aunt and uncle who kind of work in that field. And I went to visit them in Calgary recently and was able to go to Traditional Stitches, which was so cool. They gravitated towards the models that I had a feeling they would. Like, what is it? A unicorn, a peacock, and a badger. Peacock, unicorn, badger, the pub, that one. And then that like Courtney Collection mermaid one. I wanted to commemorate that trip and thank my aunt and uncle for hosting me. So I stitched Medieval Snail Cat. So I took this with me on a trip to Vermont with my parents and Shelby, and I forgot to bring any finishing materials with me. So I wanted to give this to my parents by the end of the week finished, because they are seeing my aunt and uncle in August and I won't be there, and I don't want to ship something to Canada. So I finished the stitching, and then Shelby and I went to we went to a few places, but the two that are important to the story, one was the Shelburne Museum, which I believe I've talked about before. They, in their gift shop, had a sale bin, and there was some fabric in there that I guess was designed using pieces in the museum as inspiration. I'm not entirely sure what inspired this fabric, but I used it as the backing fabric. And then we went to a craft thrift shop that we've been to before in Rutland, Vermont. They had like a big box of polyfill, and you could just take a certain amount and they would weigh it and whatever. I really try not to use like stuff that won't biodegrade in my work. In this case, I did go ahead and get some polyfill because it was secondhand and it's what was available. And it cost me $1 to stuff that pillow, and it is like firm. But I did some cording with the DMC that was remaining, and I think it turned out really, really cute. So yeah, the final piece has a lot of meaning to me, and I hope that my aunt and uncle enjoy it. It's on a 32 count Lugana, so it's already not going to biodegrade completely. Might as well fill it with polyfill. Again, secondhand polyfill though. I just went to Pittsburgh, and I just watched Nithia's latest video, and she was talking about Pittsburgh, and the way she described it was so spot on. She said it's a place where people are just so excited to be there. And I was like, yes, that's it. And my friend, in her backyard, she has, she's been keeping bees and ducks. So I got to bring home duck eggs and like a ton of honey, and I wanted to bring her something to thank her for hosting me. So I found this Mill Hill in Canada. It's called Honey, and it's a bee, and so I stitched that up and brought that to her. She was trying to identify like what kind of a bee it is. Like, is it a drone? Is it a queen? Is it a da-da-da? And I don't remember what conclusion she drew, and I also don't know what all those things mean necessarily, but I did get to wear a beekeeper suit and help watch her harvest honey. Also, she gave me some wax from the frame that we got the honey from. We saved the wax from it, and I can use that wax for like my floss or whatever. I can make a little candle, but I kind of want to use it for floss conditioning. So I learned a lot about beekeeping. I don't think it's something I'm prepared to like take on, but I just have a lot of appreciation for people who do things like that, and I love getting to use like all of the thing. Another special piece to commemorate a special time. My last finish is here. I got some black Ada from the shop in Rutland for $1, and this is one of the things I've made on it. Oops. This is from Tirzane Initiative, that library of patterns that it's collecting different Palestinian to trees designs, which are, if you don't know yet, that's basically like Palestinian style of cross stitch. And the website will tell you their best guess as to where the pattern originated, and like lots of information. So this one is called Discs. It's kind of hard to see. Hold it up against the rest of the black Ada. That's better. And I just used some DMC that kind of matched the colors. This and another piece, I'll just show you. This is a WIP I'm working on called Hearts. So I'm gonna mount these on the cover of some books. Hi, Reba. I'm gonna make some, I'm gonna do more bookbinding and give those as gifts to a couple friends who have some summer birthdays. And I think they'll appreciate the sentiment of where the patterns are from. This is a piece I actually started like 4 hours ago. It is Bee by the Moon by Wild Violet Cross Stitch. This is on my final scrap of this 32 count linen. I forget what it's called. It's blue. I used it for like a Christmas Santa piece and an underwater piece. It just calls for 2 DMCs, and I'm going to do the companion piece, Firefly by the Sun. I have a friend who's pregnant with twins, so when they're born, I'm going to stitch their names and date of birth underneath and maybe make them into pillows. I'm not sure about framing these. Oh, Reba is squeaking a little pineapple, so if you can hear that, that's what it is. Next, I have Flanders Fields Biscornu by Heartstring Samplery. I, on a whim, started this 1/1 on a 32 count linen. Shelby had gotten like a linen grab bag from an eBay seller, So this is a brand that looks like it might be called Seven Lake Samplers, but I haven't been able to find anything about that online. I was planning to do this 2/2, but this linen is like kind of thick. And so I'm just doing it with a beading needle, which is in there, and it's going great. Like if I cut the floss into fourths, that makes it a lot easier to handle. I found the color for the poppies at Traditional Stitches. It's a Romy's Creations, and I've not used that one before. Do you need to be seen by the people? Come here. Oh, She has a lot to say. Okay. I have 3 more to show, Reba, because I already filmed this piece and it was corrupted, so I'm redoing the middle at the end. Can I do that? I know I've been talking for a long time. Is that okay? Can I do 3 more? I'll skip one, because it looks the same as last time I showed it, and it's just whatever. All right. 2 Christmas ones. Here we go. Speed run. Okay. New England St. Nick. I'm doing this on a 32 count Blackbird, 18th century Blackbird linen by R&R Reproductions, using my own conversion with some DMC and some fancy floss. He is cool. I love him. The pacing of this video is going to be so weird. And then I have Vintage Christmas Stocking by Fairy Wool in the Woods. Just the one wood. Fairy Wool in the Wood. And I'm stitching this on a 32 count Lugana by Fortnite, RIP, using a mix of fancy floss and DMC. Okay, is that okay? I'll stop it there. All right, enjoy the rest of the video. I gotta go walk a dog. Nordic Holiday by Prairie Schooler. It's on the cardstock. And this is one that I like to get out in July and December. And I don't have a goal for finishing this one. I really like getting to work on it. So I purposely have not set a finishing goal for it, because it is such like it's a tradition now. This will be like year 2. Well, 3. Because 23, 24, 25. It's on a 32 count Lugana, and it's just 2 colors. I believe they're the called for DMCs. This year I'm working on this horse. There was already kind of an outline I'd left for myself in December, so I just started filling it in. Quaker Gone Haunted. This is by Michelle Ink Needlework. The rest of this fabric is what I'm going to use for the Firefly in the Sun companion piece for the Bee in the Moon, Bee by the Moon. Here is the pattern. It's a lot of greens and sort of purpley guys, and I love greens and purples. So I'm stitching it on a purple fabric, Kunzite by Fiber on a Whim. It's a 32 count linen, and this is where I'm at. I have worked on this a lot this year, and I'm extremely proud of my progress. The tree has been, I thought it was going to be really hard, but I've been using a Post-it note to help me keep my space, or my place, and that's been super helpful. I'm just incorporating a lot of fancy flosses in here. I'm experimenting with doing like 1 strand versus 2, blending. A lot of these that are like multicolored, like this like cross tombstone here, it's going to be challenging to see on this camera, but it kind of looks like a fade. I used 3 different flosses in here to kind of make that effect. So I'm just having a good time with it, and there's plenty of fabric left to go with this. Then from September, I have Never Enough Primitives by Thistles. This, I believe I started last September for Sampler September, and that's when I plan to work on it again. This is on a 32 count, maybe oatmeal linen, and this is where I'm at. It's a lot of fill-in, but it's fill-in with fancy floss, which is kind of fun. So when I'm in the mood for block stitching or lettering, that's what I'm going to go to in September. And maybe I'll work specifically on the sampler itself during the month of September. We'll see. This is the Farms of Hawk Run Hollow. I did get this at Hobby House. And I love this one. I don't see a lot of people working on this particular hawk run, so of course I wanted to do it. But I also come from not quite farmland, but grew up in like borderline rural suburbia, and want to make peace with that. And I am planning to add words or replace the words here with gay country songs. So lyrics or song titles or something along those lines. So I have like a pretty good list now. And I know where almost all of them are going to go. I'm still not sure about this block, which is one of my favorites. I love the chickens. But I don't know. I want to pick a song or a lyric that has O's in it because I like how she made them like yolks. We'll see. This is a 32 count linen. I've got all the grids. No, I don't. I've done some of the gridding. But this is what I have. This is another one where like, ooh, I could do like a block a month or a block every 2 months. Maybe that'll be my 2026 goal. This is the mitten by, it's based on the art by Jan Brett. This is a bear, part of a bear. That's the end of his nose. And this is on a 28 count linen. I think it's called like Santa's Cocoa or something like that. Yep. It's by Dames of the Needle. I got it at Hobby House. And I love this fabric very much. I'm not usually a 28 count person, but it was just so pretty. And I hadn't used that dyer before, so I picked it up. And I'm doing it 1/1, if you couldn't tell. And I don't know, I'm really liking the poppy 1/1, and I was like, no more 1/1s till you finish one of them because it's so much. But I kind of want to work on this. We'll see. This is my last piece from 2024. It's called Quaker Floral Puzzles by Ink Circles, and I started it in like January or February 2024. It's so pretty. I'd love to get to a point where I can like work on a quarter of it every season. But the seasons come and go and I still haven't done that. But it's so pretty. I'm doing this 1/1, or 1/2. Yeah, 1/2 on a 36 count charcoal. Like, I kitted this up. I remember asking for this for Christmas in 2020, this fabric. Like, I have had it. I didn't know anything about linen yet. I didn't know. There was so much I didn't know at the time. So it's fun to be able to like use that and feel confident in the project that I'm working on. I have another Thistles piece called Star Village. Put it together with a binder clip. This I started in 2023. So this is lingering, but it's been really fun as well. I'm doing my own color conversion. I'm using a mixture of fancy flosses and blends, mostly blending DMCs and just seeing what comes up. I'm trying to do the like bulk of the houses, and then I'll go back and do the roofs and the windows and the doors, and then I got to do all this grass and sheep and stuff. But this is my chatelaine. I've not worked on it since I showed it, I think, in Shelby and I's last video. Maybe I worked on it a little bit more after that, but that's the curse of this chatelaine is like I will work on it very diligently and then put it in a FlossTube video and then not touch it for like a year or more. But it's so beautiful. It's going to be Tinctorium. It's the dye garden. So it's this, and then there's going to be lots of plants around it. And then somehow in the middle here is going to be a bunch of little hedgehogs and bunnies, like bordering the center bit. It's really a piece I have to stitch on when I'm in the mood. And when I pick it up, I just hear the X-Files theme song, because at the beginning of the year when I was working on it, we were watching a lot of X-Files, and I like needed to take a break from it because I needed to take a break from the X-Files. This is my final piece. It's from 2022. So it's my oldest WIP right now. And it's called Over the Garden Wall. It's on a 32 count Lugana, and it looks okay. Okay. Not so upset with it. My issue with this piece is that the pattern they give you a black and white and a color pattern. I think I'm sure I've talked about this before, but like, okay, so for this goldy yellow here, on the version of the pattern I was using, there were two different symbols, and but when I looked at the key, they were for the same color. Now that should have been my clue, but I ignored that. And if I had used the other pattern, there would be like a great deal more detail in this. So it just would have a lot more dimension, because the other Goldie in there like was like a shade or two darker, and it just, I finally Googled this piece because I was looking at it and I was like, why did I pick this? It's so cartoony, like it's not really my style. And I looked and I saw some finished pieces and I was like, oh, that's why. It's just a lot more like realistic. So I like that I know that I'm interested in doing pieces like that. I like that I have done essentially a full coverage and enjoyed it. And I also learned to double and triple check what you're working on. So it looks pretty good because this camera is not very good, so it's blurry. It's like kind of making it seem a little more like there's more going on. I think once I backstitch it, I'll hopefully feel a little bit differently. Just, yeah, one of those casual disappointments of stitching, but also very much not the end of the world. Oh my god. Okay, that's everything. I've done a lot of knitting this year too. That's kind of what's taken up my stitchy time, is just I got the knitting bug again, and I'm not mad about that. So like I did a couple of shawls for Shelby. I'm working on a shawl for myself using a lot of my green and my purple yarn. I've got some socks. I've done some weaving. I'm not going to show it all because last time I was incorporating all of my crafts into my floss tubes, I was getting very overwhelmed. So I'm just keeping it to stitching, but just so you know, like that's what's going on. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for watching, even though the star of my channel is not here today. Hopefully she'll be back, but if she's not, that's fine. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye.